But why didn't you want to go to Canada?
I just felt like it was going backwards, you know. My people, my name is Morrisseau. We're Quebecois, you know. I'm an American, damn it. I didn't grow up with a single word of French in my house. I'm an American. I'm a Vermonter now. And I mean, I've been a Vermonter all my life, but now I don't emphasize the American part because I'm not proud at all of what our country and our federal government is doing in the world. Not proud at all. I am deeply ashamed and deeply angry.
I remember in my last year of college, 1968, I got a little book entitled The Handbook for Draft Age Immigrants for Canada. And it gave all the details of how to get across the border and what to say at the border.
Oh, I knew how to do it. I studied that stuff too, but in the end, you know, I said to myself, I'm going to do the honorable thing. I'm going to go in. I don't object to serving my country. And as long as I don't wind up in Vietnam or contributing to Vietnam, I'm happy to wear the uniform and do my duty for a couple of years. And if that thing comes, I'll cross that bridge when I get to it. And when it came, I said no. I'm perfectly clean in my conscience about it. I don't regret one speck what I did.
But as you look back now, it's not just Vietnam. There was Kent State, and those were that was the army that gunned down those innocent students on their college campus. And if you look back in history, the bonus march, the veterans in World War I had been promised a bonus when they for fighting, and they were denied the bonus. But when they went to Washington to ask for it, the army was turned upon them. And these are people who were theoretically serving the country.
Yes. They don't study that in military, when you take military history. They don't tell you about those things.
They don't tell you how to shoot down innocent children on their college campus.
No, they don't tell you any of those historic events. They don't tell you about those events. They're simply not discussed. Mm. Military people are not held in high regard by political people. Kissinger is quoted as saying they're just beasts. They're just beasts of burden. They're stupid. Not true, Terry. A lot of decent men in there and women.
But that's how they regard them, and these are the people making the decisions.
Yeah.
The privates, they're just cannon fodder.
Well, yes. And they take them young, and they take them from poor backgrounds. So, you know, when I went in, I was older than most kids. I had first, I grew up in a working class family, so, you know, physical things were not spooky to me. Second, I completed high school. I completed college. I took a year off in college and lived in California. I had been a few places. I had been off to law school. You know, I was in my early 20s. I forget what it was, 23, 24, when I went in. And I had all that background and all that time, and I'm sorry, some seasoning. I was always a good student. I worked hard at academic things. Many of the people taken in didn't have those advantages. And so the first time they start to see reality is when they're there. And the blood is flying and the bombs are coming in and the craziness is happening. Then they start to learn in a hurry. But they didn't know. They go in without knowing. Now, when they come out, they're trained in weapons, and they know their country did something really bad, and their country now considers them suspect. The government of this country considers returning military people a danger to the country. How do you like that?
Maybe that's why they keep sending them back for another tour of duty, hoping they'll all be killed off before.
Well, I'm not going to.
We do to make things better for the farmers. Now, Anthony Polina was working on a dairy co-op for the farmers, and I believe that failed. Isn't there something that we can do to help the dairy farmers and others?
Well, You could help dairy farmers, dairy farming and dairy farmers as it's presently organized, if you could seal the border, and if you could produce from the milk here products, cheese, yogurt, and so on, produce it here in some sort of a co-op way and market it here at a fair price. You could do that. So secession is the key, you know, being able to keep out poisonous, subsidized, ultra cheap, picked in the Great Valley of California by Mexicans, all that food, corporate food, agribusiness food. Then you could artificially, you know, increase the dairy farmers' price and make their lives a little better. But you know what? All kinds of things are going to collapse. We're going to need food for people grown here in the state of Vermont. We need, you know, the way dairy farming works is like this. The dairy farmer, the poor son of a gun, it's not a good business plan. The poor son of a gun has got tons of money and time and sweat invested in his farm, his acreage, his cows, his equipment, his silos, his silage, the whole 9 yards. He has to buy his seeds from Monsanto or somebody like that. He has to buy all of his inputs, his seeds, his gasoline, his equipment, his fertilizers, what have you. He has to buy all of that from agribusiness corporations that charge right through the nose. He has to pay the long dollar. Then all he does is plant corn. All he does is chop the corn, that's food for cows, and feed it to his cows, and take the poop out and collect the milk. And he has to sell that milk. All he does is sell that milk to another batch of agribusiness corporations who pay him bottom dollar. So they got him coming and going. It isn't a good business plan, folks. We need to start thinking about reorganizing agriculture out of dairy because we can't produce enough right here in the state. Cheese, and so, I mean, you know, we can't use the dairy that we have in that manner. There's too much of it. We need to get growing food for people, not food for cows. And the way I see it going is, you know, some of those funds that we need to bring back, take back from the war effort, take back from Wall Street, that needs to go into reorganizing agriculture, supporting dairy, supporting transitions of these farms into producing human food, prepping, canning, freezing, drying, you know, producing human food from what you grow, preserving it and marketing it here and in the major metro areas around us. That's the way we need to do agriculture.
Bringing the food in from California, that has a very negative environmental impact too, because you have to fly that in on airplanes that use a lot of oil.
You're not going to be able to do it. If the peak oil people are right, and I think they are, and if the collapse people are right, and I think they are, you know, our entire economic system has been organized around cheap oil, and it's gone. It's going to be gone. You will have some, but it's going to be very expensive. That means you cannot rely on any of those old ways of moving agricultural product across the country. And we don't have trains enough. You can't do the trucks. It just gets tough. The smart thing to do is grow the food where you're going to consume it and produce it and package it up and use it yourself, and surplus you sell to the cities where they need it, where they can't grow it themselves. That's the smart way to do agriculture. It's labor intensive. It means we need to change our entire agriculture policy to local production, local consumption for people.